Moms, do you want less stress, better boundaries, more energy, more patience, and honestly, a life that feels more satisfying? What if I told you one thing affects almost all of it? And honestly, I think it might be one of the biggest life hacks for overwhelmed moms. If you're tired of people pleasing, caring too much, and wondering why peace still feels so hard to hold on to, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Lori, mom, former people pleaser, and your boundaries coach. Here we talk about how to protect your peace, set healthier boundaries, and get clear on what actually matters so that you can build a life that feels lighter, calmer, and more satisfying. So let's stop the chaos for a minute, moms, catch our breath, and get into this next episode. Welcome back to Healthy Boundaries for Moms. So before we jump into today's episode, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be opening up 5 free coaching sessions very soon. And these are going to be first come, first serve. And I am so excited because this is going to give us a chance to work together one-on-one on some of the very things that we are talking about here on the podcast. So if you're wanting to get help, you're trying to prioritize your health and create better boundaries, you want to reduce your overwhelm and build some healthier routines, and you just want to create a life that feels more intentional and aligned, this is going to be the space for that. So be on the lookout because I'm going to be sharing details really soon, and those first 5 spots will go quickly. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what I think may be one of the biggest life hacks for busy moms, because I think a lot of moms are trying to fix overwhelm, stress, schedules, relationships, right? While we're just ignoring the foundation underneath all of it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about our health. And before you tune this out and you think we're just talking about another episode about diets and workouts, that is not what I'm talking about. This is about prioritizing how your health changes the way you are experiencing your life. Because healthy habits, they don't just change your body, they're changing your very capacity for life. Because I think prioritizing your health is a keystone habit. And what do I mean by a keystone habit? This is a habit that creates positive ripple effects into other multiple areas of your life. Okay, not just your health. Because once you start taking care of your health, other things begin improving. You begin to think more clearly. Now all of a sudden you're more proactive. You're building these better routines and you're showing up differently in your relationships. And I think health may be one of the highest ROI investments you can make in your life, because health is one of those few investments that pay you back in almost every area of your life, because there is this compounding effect that we miss that I don't think we're getting. Almost all healthy habits work like compound interest or like a debt snowball. Okay. You start with these tiny wins. You're drinking more water. You're going on these walks. You're starting to eat more protein. Your sleep's getting better. Maybe you're making some meals ahead of time. And that feels small, right? But over time, it's compounding. Just like investing money creates more options later, prioritizing your health is creating more options for you in the future, in your life. Okay. Because think about this. You're spending less time making emotional decisions. You're reducing chaos. You're creating structure. And now you start to look more proactive, right? Instead of just reacting to everything around you. And honestly, healthy habits create structure. And structure creates freedom. The more structure I created, built around my health, honestly, I felt less chaos. And I was experiencing less chaos in every area of my life. So what I think is crucial here is that we start thinking about creating healthier habits, and we align that with actually wanting this life for yourself, this type of life. Okay. I think that a lot of moms have spent so long in survival mode, they almost stop envisioning what it would be like to truly thrive, to feel peaceful, clear-minded, and strong, to feel intentional and rested. Like, can you imagine what are your mornings going to feel like? What are your evenings going to be like? What's going to happen to your marriage? Are you going to have more patience with your kids? Yes, you are. So you need to ask yourself, what would change if you actually started living like health mattered? Because eventually we're going to embody the life that we believe that belongs to us. So if we think we deserve fast food and no real sleep, that's the life we're going to live. And I think a lot of moms we're craving a life that feels elevated, peaceful, intentional, and aligned. But why do we keep living like we're stuck in survival mode? If you want a more elevated life, eventually your habits are going to have to match that vision. And I think one of the first places we begin building that life is through our health. Because healthy habits are not just changing your routines, okay? They are reinforcing a brand spanking new identity. So, what are the practical steps? I want to make this really attainable, okay? Because I think a lot of moms overcomplicate health before they even start, right? We get on Pinterest, we start looking at things, we ask 5 million questions, we complicate it. But healthy habits do not have to be extreme to change your life, okay? Some of the biggest changes come from some of the simplest habits, just repeated consistently. So if you're wondering where to start, just start simple. Things like drinking more water, walking more consistently. Let's prioritize protein. We're going to create a better sleep routine. How about we start strength training a couple times a week, lifting weights, okay? Because that's important for women. And if going to the gym feels not attainable, okay, right now, just buy some free weights and keep them at your house and create an area for you that feels good to lift weights, okay? You don't have to go to a gym. I want you to create systems that support the life you're trying to build. I also think one of the best things you can do is simplify your health instead of constantly reinventing it every day. Figure out your staple foods. What are your go-to breakfasts? What are just some quick, easy lunches? Some simple dinners that satisfy and meet your goals that you're looking for. Meals that keep you full. They're going to give you energy and they fit in your lifestyle already. You don't have to change your whole life, okay? You can fit them into your lifestyle. Because honestly, one of the biggest life hacks is reducing decision fatigue. We've talked about that on this podcast. We've got to reduce the friction to get to the things that we're trying to reach. So, one of the biggest things I prioritize personally is protein. Okay. And a good general guideline is about 0.7 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. And once you know your goal, break it down into smaller goals. Okay. You know what you're trying to hit for the day. So break it up with breakfast, have protein at lunch, at dinner. You can even break it up with your snacks. Okay. And that makes things feel so much more attainable and manageable. And if your goal is weight loss or simply feeling healthier and more energized overall, I'm going to share a few tools with you inside our Facebook group. So if you haven't joined yet, go ahead and join us there either now or after you finish listening to this episode. And if you're not subscribed to the newsletter yet, I will also have that linked in the show notes and inside the Face group as well. And I'm going to be sharing some extra resources, some tools and support there to help make this whole process feel simpler and more sustainable. So definitely go there and join, okay? And when you prioritize your health, you actually start showing up differently everywhere, right? You feel more confident in your relationships because you feel better about yourself. You start to connect with your spouse differently because now you have all this emotional capacity you didn't have before. And you have more energy. And guys, it even changes how you parent because you're not just feeling bad because you're telling your kids to eat healthier, right? But they're watching you, like you feel proud because they're seeing you live this out. So let's talk about how this affects your spirituality, because I think your habits, when they start aligning with your values, they start aligning with who you are and who God has made you to be. So scripture says in 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20, that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit and that we should honor God with our bodies. And in Galatians 5, it says self-control is one of the parts of the fruit of the Spirit. So God really wants us to think about these things when we are trying to align spiritually, because I don't think discipline is about punishment. I think we are talking about alignment here. So let's talk about how our habits, when they are aligned with our values, how they create a different atmosphere in our lives too, because we stop living in constant survival mode and we begin creating rhythms that feel peaceful and intentional and even supportive. And I think that's something that a lot of moms, they are truly craving. And we're not necessarily needing more stuff, right? But we want more peace. We want more care. We want more room to breathe. And I think we also need to redefine what luxury actually means, because for a long time, I think we imagine luxury as like expensive things or having a lot of money. But let's be real. Some of the richest moments in our lives are the simplest ones, right? Like I can tell you, starting to take care of like my face as I'm getting older, like just washing my face at night instead of just falling into bed exhausted like I used to. Or now I have this like sleep routine where I set up this heated blanket on my bed. It's already warmed up. I have this soft ambient lighting. I have my meditation app on, which is the Pause app, which I have shared on this podcast. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I just set up this environment that feels peaceful. And I used to have to take sleep medication to go to bed. And now I've built these rhythms so well that I'm out in like 5 minutes. I'm asleep. And honestly, that feels luxurious to me. And I think healthy habits, they're helping to create that. And this whole subject, it's very personal to me because a couple years ago, when I started this whole journey of prioritizing my health, I thought I was just trying to eat better and I'm trying to just exercise and get in that routine. But what actually really changed was my identity. I became more disciplined. I became more intentional and more aligned. And eventually, I realized something. My career was really the only area of my life that no longer matched this person that I was becoming. Because once I proved to myself that I could be consistent with my health, it changed what I believe was possible in other areas. So these healthy habits, they were raising my standards for the rest of my life. And my health journey was crowding out the parts of my life that no longer aligned. It was just happening on its own. It was doing that for me. So guys, I just want you to know, you don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to start making small deposits into the life you want to build, because healthy habits, they compound like interest. So if you're wondering where to start after listening to this episode, just start simple. Drink more water, walk more consistently, prioritize your protein, create a better sleep routine, strength train a couple times a week, figure out your staple meals, and reduce decision fatigue by creating systems that will support your peace instead of chaos. Make these foundational changes first, because these foundational habits support everything else that comes later. They create the stability that allows you to eventually tweak, and you can optimize it, you can grow it. But first, let's start with the basics. We need rhythms, we need structure, we need consistency and habits that are supporting this life that we're trying to build. And honestly, I think one of the first places we begin building a more elevated and intentional life is through how we care for ourselves. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and go join our free Facebook page at Healthy Boundaries for Moms? That's where we go deeper, share what's actually working, and support each other in real life. I will also share some great tools and tips to help you along this journey. I have also included a link to sign up for our brand new weekly newsletter in the Facebook group. Don't forget to hit follow and leave a quick review on Apple. It really lets me know that this podcast is helping you. More importantly, it helps more women find this podcast. Now go, say no to something that's stealing your peace and say yes to something you actually need. And I'll meet you back here in the next episode.